Last week I told you your family needs you awake. So let me ask the question that comes next. Awake to what? Because a man can open his eyes and still not see. He can be awake to the wrong things, awake to his phone, awake to his grievances, awake to everything except the two things that matter most. What is shaping you and who you answer to. That is what this season is about. My name is Zach Powell, and the way I understand what God has called me to is simple. We are called to be soldiers, disciples, and fishers of men for Christ. Soldiers, because this life is not casual. There is a real enemy, and no man sits it out. Disciples, because none of us is above the word, we are under it, still being formed. And fishers of men, because as disciples, he calls us to pull others out of the dark and into his light. This is the first teaching in a season. One teaching a week, built on a book I wrote called Lessons of the Father. Each week builds on the next one. We are not racing through it. We are laying stones, one at a time, and the foundation goes down first. Last week was the door. This week we start to build. 2 commands, and they are not 2 jobs, they are one. Guard your life and answer to God. So start with what Peter tells us to do about it. In his first letter, chapter 5, verses 8 and 9, he writes this: Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith. Be alert, be sober, stand firm. Peter does not describe a peaceful world where a man can drift and be fine. He describes a world with something hunting in it. And the man who is not watching is not neutral. He is prey. And Proverbs tells us where to put the guard. Chapter 4, verse 23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Above all else. Not above some things, above all of them. The heart in Scripture is not your feelings. It is the center of you. Your thoughts, your will, your direction. Everything you do flows out of it. So when the heart goes unguarded, everything downstream goes with it. Your speech, your habits, your home. And drift does not announce itself. No man wakes up and decides to go cold. It is quieter than that. A little less prayer, a resentment you stop fighting, a compromise you used to refuse and now you tolerate. None of it looks like much on a Tuesday. Stack it across a year, and it is the distance between a man who stands and a man who fell a long time ago and has not admitted it yet. Now I am going to stop explaining and tell you the truth. You already know the one you stopped fighting. You knew it before I finished the list. I know mine too. I have one right now, today, that I would rather not say out loud. That is the man I am talking to, and that is the man talking. I am not above this. I am further up the same road, but in the same fight. So guarding your life is not fear. It is sober awareness of what is shaping you, because something is shaping you. The only question is whether you are watching it happen or letting it happen. But the guarding is only half the work. A man can guard his life and still be guarding the wrong thing for the wrong reason, which is why the second command is not optional. Who are you guarding it for? Who do you answer to? And Paul says it plainly. Romans 13, verse 1. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Authority is not something you generate. It is something you receive. All of it comes from God. All of it. And that confronts a man immediately. Because a man cannot claim strength while rejecting authority. He cannot demand respect in his home while resisting the one he answers to. Before a man leads his household, he has to live under the authority of God himself. And here is where the two commands become one. A man who answers to no one does not guard his life. He defends his preferences. He calls his temper conviction. He calls his stubbornness strength. He guards what he wants and calls it discipline. But a man who knows he answers to God guards differently. He is not protecting his comfort. He is protecting what was handed to him by someone higher. That is the difference between a man who is guarded and a man who is governed. And I will tell you where I get caught. I have places where I act like the buck stops with me, and it doesn't. And down deep, I know it doesn't. So do you. You have an area right now where you have made yourself the final authority, and you aren't. Name it. You have been calling it something else. Submission is not weakness. When a man puts himself under God, he gets steady. His decisions stop being reactions. His leadership stops running on ego. He knows he is not the highest authority in the room. The man who refuses that gets unpredictable. He resists correction. He resists counsel. He leads from impulse. An impulse in a man with authority is dangerous to everyone under him. Jesus modeled the opposite. He had all authority, and he lived in complete submission to the Father. True authority flows out of obedience, not around it. So you cannot expect obedience from your children while you live in quiet resistance to God. You cannot teach respect for authority while disregarding the authority over you. Authority begins under authority. A man who will not be corrected by Scripture will misuse whatever authority he has. A man who will not bow before God will eventually try to make others bow before him. Strong men are not self-appointed, they are submitted. So put the two together, because they were never apart. The watchful man and the submitted man are the same man. He guards his life because he knows it is not his own. He answers to God, so he takes seriously what God is forming in him. You cannot lead what you do not guard, and you cannot guard rightly until you know who you answer to. So here's the charge this week. 2 things to match the 2 commands. First, guard one thing. The one you already named in your head a few minutes ago. Not all of it, that one. The thing you used to fight and have quietly started tolerating. Start guarding it this week. Second, submit one thing. The one area where you have been the final authority and you know you aren't. Bring it under God, out loud in prayer this week. Guard one thing, submit one thing. That is how a foundation gets laid, one stone at a time. I will be doing the same thing this week. Same road, same fight. If you want to walk the rest of the season with me, subscribe so you don't miss a week. These build on each other, so the next one assumes you were here for this one. And if there is a man you know who has gone quiet, who has started to drift, send this to him. Next week, we set the next stone. Because once a man is awake and watching, once he knows who he answers to, the next question comes fast. Does he obey all the way, or just far enough to feel like he did? There is a kind of obedience that looks like obedience and isn't. We deal with that next week. No half measures. Until then, guard one thing, submit one thing, stand firm in the faith, and I will see you next week.